Hi guys, it's me, Jason, and I'm one of the competitors in Super Paper Mario Versus.
Now let's do it. Sword into his giant skull.
Alright, there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
It's over.
We have our winner.
The last race that I did, I played horribly. For those of you who don't know, the last race I technically was in was Super Mario Odyssey Versus on my channel. Most of it somewhat was due to the luck of the lifelines, as I had never done lifelines in a Versus before, and so I wanted to try it out and see how it would work, and it ended up working more in my opponent's favor rather than my own.
Bird map.
What?
You heard me. Bird map.
Ugh, he beasted. But I still also wasn't playing top-notch performance that I possibly could, so overall I feel like I could have done better. I've technically been a part of Versus since 2015. At the very start of 2015, me and my friend Tyler had created a Versus channel, and we did Super Mario Galaxy 2. We did about technically 10 episodes of the game. Only 5 of them ever made it online because the other 10 got lost. My first introduction to Versus was actually back in, say, 2012. I was introduced to it by Attacking 2 Games and Josh Jepson when they did Sunshine Versus, but at the same time, also when Donna Bells and Attacking 2 Games were doing Galaxy Versus, because I remember there was like a huge, like, two-month gap between episode, I think, 17 and 18 because of what happened at the end of episode 17. And so I've basically been into Versus ever since then, and then I got to do some of them myself, and then as I grew as a channel, I started doing more and more of them, and it's kind of just led to, you know, where I am right now. For me personally, I think that Super Mario 3D All-Stars Versus, it was the commentary. This had been the first time that specifically Max, Butter, Watcha, and myself had all been together. Like, we've all worked on projects together, but we hadn't done it as a group of 4. And the commentary was hilarious. We had so many funny moments. We all laughed at stupid stuff that was happening in our gameplay. We were making jokes, referencing things. We were just having so much fun with it. And, you know, obviously there was those moments where I was recording at my friend's house, and we just had some very funny intros that we all know are very memorable. The main quality of a Versus, to me personally, having fun. You know, you shouldn't do something if you're not going to have fun. Like, I do Let's Plays because I enjoy them and I have fun making them. And it's the same way with Versus. You just have to worry about your performance in the game. You don't have to worry about making sure you write something down to, you know, make sure you talk about it. You just kind of meet all the requirements of the Versus, and then you just enjoy yourself. You just have fun. You talk. You interact with each other. You just commentate, but just making each other laugh and having fun. Well, I think I'd feel pretty good, I think, if I won a Super Paper Mario Versus. I have had a horrible track record recently of losing. Even if it's not, like, you know, specifically getting last place, I have had a horrible track record recently where I have not won a Versus. But I don't know. I think it would be awesome. I think it would definitely be surprising if I won. But with my track record, I struggle to see it.
I'm Mega Master 1, and I'm a participant in the Super Paper Mario Versus.
Guys, unfortunately, your time is up because the credits has just finished.
No!
Yes.
I just defeated Bowser, though!
I am dead serious. Wait,
No!
where did you Bowser?
Wait, are you right in front of the Grand Star?
No, it's like just now appearing.
Really? Oh, bad luck.
I'm mostly known in our YouTube community as the guy who's been working on an LP of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door for many years, and to this day, I haven't really finished it yet in the way that I want it to be finished. The last race I participated in was the Kirby 64 Versus hosted on Multigame Master 1's channel. Of course, I ended up taking second place there, and I'm expecting this time around, maybe my other opponents might be a little more out of their element, because while this isn't a traditional RPG, it's not a traditional platformer either. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe there are some crossed wires in people's memories. Maybe they won't remember it as well as, like, say, a Galaxy stage, and that'll kind of allow me to gain an upper hand where people may remember the platforming and layout of the stages, but maybe not so much the RPG elements to it. I've been a part of Versus since 2015, when Max invited me to participate in his first Super Mario Galaxy Versus. That was one that kind of solidified my involvement with Versus projects, because we really had a memorable crew there because it was myself, Max of course, Multi-Game Master 1, and Whatchamagivit. That sort of paved the way for me to be involved in more Versus projects down the road. About a year or so before Galaxy Versus, Whatcha and Multi were doing the Pikmin Versus on Whatcha's channel, and Multi had actually proposed the idea of doing one with me someday, and that was what eventually became Kirby 64 Versus years later. It wasn't really until the Galaxy Versus that it showed me that what I was capable of putting together. What is your favorite Versus? For me, I guess it's a toss-up between Galaxy 2 and Kirby 64. Galaxy 2 just because a lot of memorable moments and running gags came of it. You know, like, it was the first Versus where I came up with the tradition of mimicking my opponents for an episode. I think it was the first time where we coined the phrase pulling a mega. My hate from Stone Cyclone came from it, which is often referenced back to me. Just a lot of memorable stuff in general. And when it came to Kirby 64, it was mainly because Multi and I were putting that together ourselves without any outside help. So it felt a little more rewarding when it did come out, and we even came up with the idea of doing a bonus episode near the end where we compared scores in the mini-games. On top of that, it just felt like a departure from games that I had seen been covered in a Versus format. It was also a game that Multi and I, neither of us were really experts in, so that's kind of how we came up with the decision to do that in particular. I would be absolutely ecstatic if I won this Versus, especially considering I'm known as the Paper Mario guy. So to be able to accomplish such a thing in a series that I love so much would bring me such joy, and I kind of have a lot to prove in general, because I've never really done better than third place in any Versus I've ever been in. So yeah, I would be very happy if I won.
Hello, my name is M-Chan, and I am a participant in the Super Paper Mario Versus.
Whoever wins second will get 2 points. Yes! Whoever wins third will get 1 point. And so, did you beat Wolf, Max?
I did.
What?
I got so lucky.
Oh my god, I'm actually gonna get third out of this, after being in first for so long.
I've been doing Versus since May of 2012 with Yoshi's Island on Axum Archives channel. So about 11 years at this point. I first heard about Versus back in 2011 when the Super Mario Sunshine Versus by Josh Jepson and Attacking Toucans came up on my homepage. I watched through the entirety of that Versus and was really hooked onto it. And I really wanted to try this type of concept out on my channel, and I've been hooked on making these types of videos ever since. My favorite Versus is the Super Smash Bros. Brawl Versus. I like that race the most out of all the races that I've done, because all 4 competitors were all really close, all the way to the very end of the game. It felt like anybody could win at any moment going into the very last level. It was so intense. I wasn't sure who was going to make it out of the Great Maze first. And then to top it all off, the biggest upset happened at the very end of the Versus. There are 2 main qualities of a Versus. One, you need a very good mindset. Without a good mindset, I feel like you're not going to get very far in a Versus recording session. And at the end of the day, whenever you're recording with other people, you're not going to get the expected outcome that you want in a recording session, which leads to my second main quality of a Versus, and that is knowing your backups. I feel like one advantage that I have over my competitors is I tend to know a lot of different backup strategies and know how to bounce right back if I fail a trick or I'm just not playing as well as I want. And I just know when to cut my losses if I know that I can't really do something. This Versus feels very different for me compared to some of my other projects that I'm known for. This is a much different game, and I feel like anything can happen. The opponent I'm going to be focusing on the most out of the group is most likely Whatchamagivit, as Whatchamagivit and I are currently tied 2-2 with each other. And so this Versus is going to be the tiebreaker to see who could get a third win between the two of us. Winning this Versus would feel very accomplishing to me because this game is my favorite game in the Paper Mario series. It is also my favorite game to play on the Wii, and in general, this game is the game that I know best out of all the games in the Paper Mario series, and it's the one that I've played the most. And I feel like by winning, all of the knowledge that I have obtained out of all my several playthroughs of this game would have paid off. But I know that these group of competitors is also very competent at taking this competition as well. So to whoever is watching this Versus, I hope you got what you want out of this.
Hey guys, it's Whatchamagivit, or What You Hear, but it doesn't matter which one you call me. Anyway, I am one of the participants in the Super Paper Mario Versus on MChan33A's channel, on Max's channel.
Yeah! I did it in 1 minute, Balti! Eat it!
I've been a part of Versus since about 9 years ago when I first did Pikmin Versus on my channel with Multi Game Master 1, and then 2015, shortly after, I was in the Super Mario Galaxy Versus on Max's channel. Well, I think the main quality of a Versus is one, the competition in the race. That's always important, obviously. I think that if there's good competition going on, it's a good game to be racing in, and that's a good quality for it. But the most importantly, I think the group dynamic and who's in it, as long as that jives well and goes well and that the commentary is entertaining, that's one of the most important things of it, because you're giving your own take on the game in a competitive kind of way, and you want it to be a little bit funny and just a little bit of a spice there with that, and I think that that's very important. How do I prepare for a Versus? Is basically I will sometimes practice a little bit of it just to familiarize myself with it, especially if it's one I haven't played in a very long time, or sometimes I'll just jump right into it, but it depends on the game. I would like to shout out all the viewers watching, everybody who makes these Versus what they are, people being interested, and the group that I'm with in this, I'd like to shout them out as well. And of course Max for making the Versus, because he does all the editing and really throws everything together. So, but thank you all that watched this. Shout out to each and every one of you, and I hope that you will enjoy this one. How would I feel if I won this Versus? Well, I would probably jump for joy and go to Disney World, like when they win the Super Bowl. Nope, probably not, because that's expensive, but be ecstatic. Thank you guys, I hope you enjoy the Versus.